Good day, dear friends. Today we are in the Republic of Mariel in the Gornomariysky District with the head of the farming enterprise, Andrey Babushkin. Good day, Andrey.
Good day.
Andrey, your enterprise has been operating, if I'm not mistaken, according to the registration data since 2012.
Well, we actually started much earlier in 1992, back when it was the Soviet Union and I was still studying at the Kazan State Conservatory in the Bayan class. And as a conductor, orchestra leader, my parents acquired land. There were 3 shares of 243 hectares each, which is about somewhere around 7 hectares. The land seemed like it was 40 years old. Well, after I defended my diploma, they offered me to stay in Kazan. But I guess I was born in the cabbage patch. All my life I have loved walking around my native small homeland, observing nature, photography, fishing. I simply loved nature very much. I wanted somehow to return to my homeland, probably. I returned, but there was no work. I already had a family, a son. I needed to feed my family. I had to do something. And all my life, my parents were involved in agriculture. They grew green onions for sale, kept many piglets. They started cultivating something. Well, I got on the tractor, went to the field, started plowing, harrowing. We sowed barley, got a harvest, of course. Not great, but enough for the livestock. Then we started standing at the market selling meat. 5 rubles per kilogram for pork. We also had a Niva in Nizhny Novgorod, and there's an old lady standing nearby. Was around much. The old lady is selling cabbage, also for a few kopecks, something like that. She opened the trunk, a small head, not much, and she's selling it for 3 rubles. Mom says, look, cabbage costs 3 rubles and meat costs 5 rubles. Well, it's easier to grow and get cabbage. I said, give it a try. She said, we grow seedlings for sale. So we planted our first garden. Well, we earned something. The varieties were, I think, a gift. Glory. Well, some of it cracked. It seemed interesting. The second year we planted, and I was always interested in something there. More interested. I subscribed to the magazine New Farmer, and there was an invitation to an exhibition. I went to Moscow. Walking through the rows, everything was interesting, unusual, and there was cabbage on the river. I approached, greeted, and we started talking. The company Bayer. We took the first half hectare. I remember Lennox. We grew it. Well, at the level of a hoe, no equipment, no knowledge. Well, knowledge that comes from grandmothers. Like how they used to plant in the garden before we planted at that level, earned a little. And the next year, when we came again for seeds, they said, do you want to go with us to Holland? For me, it was a simple village guy. When studying at the conservatory, we traveled a lot around Russia, but Holland is something completely different. I agreed, and we went. And for me, it was a shock, a gift. I didn't understand where I had ended up. It's like a fairy tale, a small one. And for the first 2 days, I certainly didn't understand all of it. Like really stepping into Andersen's fairy tales. Small streets, cleanliness, order, everything is somehow beautiful. Then I started to delve into it, to observe why things happen this way for them and a bit differently for us. There's nothing complicated about it. The same people, the same hands, the same land, but it's different for them. And we began to delve into the understanding of technologies, seeds, drip irrigation, cassette technology, planting, something of something, nutrition, and gradually we began to build up experience and a base. We built our first small warehouse. We had carrots, onions, cucumbers, well, mainly in the vegetable direction. Potatoes. We were somehow always afraid. We knew that potatoes were an interesting topic, but mechanization was needed there. If we could grow vegetables almost at the level of a hoe, and that was what we needed. There were planters like sticks, and Everyone was afraid. Then one day we came up with the idea, let's get into it. And together with Dimitra Pikunkina, we bought the first planter, Griva Stoy, for the two of us, somewhere around 10 to 15. Then the company bought it, single row. Comes already the 10th year, it's a drought. After the 10th year, we got into irrigation. Irrigation meaning we buy, get a good harvest, and then we don't have enough combines. By that time, we already had a 2-row combine. The 2-row combine can't handle the single row. We buy a self-propelled combine. Then I look at the self-propelled combine, up to about 50 hectares. 3 combines are still not enough. We need to increase everything, all operations. So irrigation is the land. And today we have about 800 hectares of land, 400 of which are irrigated. Warehouses and refrigerators. We can store up to about 15,000 tons.
Approximately. But I will help the Gornomariysky District. Besides you, cabbage was grown. It started. Yes. Well, let me tell you, the first year we were the first to plant.
Then the neighbor, then the neighbor's neighbor, then the neighboring village, and then the whole district.
But I managed to implement the project for the first time in the Gornomariysky District. I transported a fairly large number of containers specifically for cabbage.
Yes, you could say it's a cabbage district. Yes, practically. We have about 3,500 hectares of cabbage, I think. We produce, probably after Dagestan, we are the second largest.
That is mainly late cabbage, yes, mostly not.
Earlier, they also plant pickling varieties, but in smaller quantities. It all depends on the market, but high-quality winter varieties. But everyone has storage facilities when it's not for storage anymore. And many people say they come and ask how we compete, but on the contrary, it's good when there are many of us, the buyer comes to us, and that's the main indicator. So, if there is a buyer, it means there is demand. And why does the buyer come to us? Because there is always a choice here. We probably ship up to 80 trucks daily from the district.
From the district?
Yes, from the district. It spreads all over Russia.
Andrey, I know that you were growing in the northernmost meadow. It used to be, are you still growing now?
Yes, probably this last year we decided to finally stop. I held on for a long time. I persevered. Everyone else gave up long ago. I am probably the last one who. Why? Is it because of the price? No, the price is interesting. I actually like the culture of onions. It's technological, it's interesting and appealing, but we still have a late spring with returning frosts. It doesn't ripen. It's hard for us to compete with southern onions. In any case, our production cost is 1.5 to 2 times different, no matter how hard we try. Although I have achieved 70 tons per hectare, we have a late sowing. We can go out to the field once the soil is ready. This is after the May holidays.
In the south, they practice, well, sowing is done with seeds.
With seed?
I know that in the south, they practice autumn sowing.
No, for us, autumn onions definitely won't work.
Freeze.
Yes. I've talked to Andrey several times. Let's maybe try with sets. Everyone always tells me that onions grown from sets store worse and won't yield such a harvest. Perhaps we are wrong, but we decided to try a little anyway.
Is the main buyer of potatoes table potatoes?
No, we currently have a sublicense agreement, a contract with seed companies like Noriko, Salanaris, AGDC Sadokos, Polyanov, Agrogor, and we grow seeds for them.
And what is the percentage ratio on the farm? Seeds and table potatoes.
Well, practically all our fields are almost under elite.
Under seeds, right?
Almost under seeds, yes.
Regarding seeds, is there any current trend in table processing?
Recently, yes, many are asking for processing varieties.
In seed cultivation technology?
In seed cultivation technology, I think not. In cultivation technology, of course, the products are completely different. This needs to be understood. For seeds, I think there's no difference. You can grow both. But for now, I'm a bit cautious in that sense because we already have 18 trays. Expanding the range further It's better to have less, but better quality. I agree, let's not spread ourselves too thin.
Andrey, a question for you during this time while working. Without a conservatory degree, what was the most difficult thing for you that comes to mind right now? Besides waking up early in the morning and going to bed late at night, what was the hardest?
There are no difficulties at all. I am waiting. I was born on their cabbage every day. For me, the joy is in seeing the result of my work, you wings, and it becomes easy for you to reach what was before. And, of course, falls and some adversities are compensated by the pleasure of getting satisfaction from doing the work.
If not agriculture, what would you like to replace it with?
All my childhood I wanted to be. They are known for it. I loved nature, mountains, hunting, fishing. For me, it was... I didn't become one, but in any case, I returned to earth.
I know that 8 works with you, so I would like to know what character trait in him do you consider strong, which you would like to have as well.
Well, I am more likely to look towards agronomy. For me, I consider it more important. And he looks more towards electronics, like mechanization, automation. Those are his strengths. Perhaps, well, I probably won't learn it anymore. Let it be. Well, another question. He still needs to learn agronomy from me. Then it will be easier.
And will be?
I want Vladivostok, but I cut it short. Yes, we have Morozov there. There's such a Morozov, and there's nothing like that.
Well, not abruptly either. I guess I'll have to, because I met and got to know a guy from Kamchatka. They also grow a whole range of vegetables there, including potatoes, cabbage, and they have carrots too. To Gadia, when he came to the young generation, 2 generations of Gadia, everything was fine. It was the father who set it up. And I say, you asked such a question, maybe add.
Yes. I say, I would like to regain my youth. It's almost impossible now, but if I were 35 years old, with this mindset...
Of course, it would have been possible 20 years, there 20 years, when I had the saying, if youth knew if it remained, it could have sounded completely different. Yes, now time passes and it no longer has such an erotic meaning. Yes, 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 very completely different.
A youth. Or
the result, perhaps, of one's achievements, something like that. It's precisely about just following that path without deviating.
Left or right, knowing exactly where to go, like my aunt, a professor. Logically, I know how to live this. Even when I was already over 70, I know how to live. Now, I would live differently. Yes, we would too, but we go as life is, as it is. I think it's still wonderful. The soul rejoices, it's good, it's wonderful.
I truly wish for development. I wish for Nikita Andreevich to take as much agronomy as possible. You have been to this word potato. There are also family ones.
Yes, of course, at the same time, or he. Of course, now it seems to me he is more accomplished already than his father.
Well, Khasiat, I also have the same question. It turns out that they both sat together. Yes, so which sides will they take from each other? Khasiat, says I, of course, more, well, not to act rashly, but to do it faster. No, you need to take it slowly, like, no, Dad, let's look at this, calculate it. Well, everything is clear here. No, let's take it slowly. And that's great. Malyanov had a bag there. He also didn't have it in his household where the ancestral, but I wasn't there. I was on a plane. It's also interesting. He made it on the land where his grandfather was. He made a selection center, that is, from roots to so-called roots. And in the house where his grandfather lived, he attached a greenhouse where he works with gel. But selection is simpler when such symbolism of roots comes into play, and the roots of love for the garden and you.
I am the earth, which loses its molecules. We consume food because we grew from the earth, in any case. It pulls us and gives us strength, energy, Well, in general,
Homeland and ugly, but it's the homeland. Here's the homeland, even though it's ugly, is also a key phrase said by you. Because some, as you say, don't like to promote themselves. We need to not become arrogant, but feel a sense of pride from the fact that a person has done something useful for themselves.
yes, society.
And so you do, yes, you do. You feed people. People should probably be proud of that too. That is, it's not just that you didn't steal it, you achieved it through your own work. People work for you, they bring money home. This, the pride we need to feel, not that look how well they have it there in the West. I don't know about there, though.
We can do everything too, even better. And we must do it. This is our task. Because when we lived in isolation, we didn't know this difference. Now, when I went to Holland, it was a shock for me. I couldn't understand. It seems like the same sun shines, but they have one thing and we have another. And how can we do the same? We just need to take everything that is better.
Better, yes. Even if we take what's better and it doesn't take root forcibly, we shouldn't do it. Maybe it's not entirely ours.
And why we and you? The best history, to avoid repeating old mistakes and to take everything that is better, which our ancestors really need to engage in.
Histories, and grandchildren are growing, and 2 granddaughters.
Are there female tractor drivers? Plenty of suitors, tractor drivers. And they want a tractor, right? Let's see what tractors are available.
I believe that nowadays a good tractor driver is generally respected and well paid. To be crying, but how much? Well, just like that, we already understand our people who work. They are even proud, maybe not fully proud yet, but overall society perceives it a little, still doesn't fully understand. It's so great to operate such machinery, which costs tens of millions. Yes, with the tips of your fingers, all of it. Manager. Of course, we would like to pay more, but it doesn't always work out because we need to build a warehouse, we need to buy equipment. 23% is also the rate and financing. This is also the financing rate. There was free money, but there is no free money. I would give more, I don't mind, but it seems that even, I think, over time, issues need to be resolved, housing, but now there's no opportunity. I don't know. Maybe we just need to find, as my friend also says, it's not time we lack, it's our organization. Here too, maybe we need to find from resources, it's possible, maybe we initially positioned ourselves incorrectly, maybe quietly, but still need to adjust the spot.
Well, yes, the development of the village, and probably the village should not be, because the trouble has already come, you could say.
And ahead, well, there are no people, most likely. And why are they running away? Because the conditions in the city are better.
Conditions in the city, and a toilet, and hot water from the tap, right. And you can go to the store.
Toilet, hot water, that's possible now. In general, overall, well, the generation that is working with us now, yes, well, you could say all over 40, yes. The youth don't want to, that's what's upsetting.
I think something needs to be done. It needs to be made fashionable for the youth.
Yes, right. And from the first grade, when they are still going to school, yes, they ask the question, who is a collective farmer? And they start telling such a scary thing.
That's humiliating.
It's humiliating, yes. But if they say, well, a tractor driver, that's proud. Yes, indeed, he earns well. Yes, he works with good equipment. He's not sitting in a dirty shirt. Yes, he comes home. He has hot water, everything. If we present it like this in the fresh air, you consume healthy food. Yes, you...
We need to think about how to make the profession fashionable.
So that it is truly a joy. A joy.
Even if you're waist deep in mud, it should be a joy. Some people pay money to a crazy crowd. You know, there's mud wrestling. They pay money for that. Let's walk through the enterprise and we... So, well...
like this. Well, this, I must say, I believe is quite a decent warehouse. Here we store approximately 1,800 tons of seed potatoes. Each container is labeled. We know what, which, and what variety. The ventilation here is aspiration for extraction. In the fall, we store the potatoes and they practically stay here until shipping, like at a resort. This is not a sanatorium, it's a resort for potatoes.
Is there cooling available?
There is no cooling here, but over time we might even install a refrigerator. Because some want to ship in April, May, and that's a bit more complicated. Then it will maintain the temperature, hold it, as it might start sprouting. But here we have ventilation with aspiration, as I mentioned. Yes, we make the containers ourselves, and there is humidification.
And how much storage like this do you have approximately?
We have almost more than half of the storage containers. We have about 6,000 containers in the park.
Around 6,500 containers.
A container holds about 200 tons, 300 tons, but we calculate it in pure form for shipment, which comes out to about 100 tons, 150 tons.
Excellent.
Here, thanks to humidification and good ventilation, our losses are practically zero.
Bulk storage.
Bulk storage is also available, but since we have many seeds, many lots, different varieties, different reproductions, containers are more appropriate because each container is labeled. We know the quantity, we know the volumes, and it's easier to make selections. That's why we have more containers. If it's for selling or other purposes, storage might be cheaper. Containers. Initially, the cost for containers are high. And secondly, autumn loading. It's still possible to store in bulk. With just one loader, you can possibly store 500, 2,000 tons. With one receiving hopper, there is a good flow, good powerful equipment. So with containers, we end up filling the containers and placing them in the warehouse. Although we have about 3-4 forklifts moving back and forth.
And how much do you manage in a day?
Well, in a day, at most, of course, we manage 500, but that's a crazy race. It's tough with containers, especially since we have aspiration. Look, you see, we place them millimeter by millimeter tightly. If spatially, it could be done faster somehow. Here we have a perfectly even floor, perfectly even containers, and a good forklift operator, and of course a good forklift.
Forklift operators top right.
Forklift operators, yes, of the highest caliber, and a good forklift too. If we have Linda working here, she's very refined. A very convenient forklift. Well, let's move on then to how the whole process goes, how it lifts, how it tips, not calibration sorting. Here we had onions, just like the onions here. Onions, we have already sold the trip temporarily and moved some of the potato containers here. Everything smells like onions, it smells like onions. Why do I mention onions? Here we don't have any moisture. Here, on the contrary, we have a gas burner. Up there, you see, they extinguished the dryer up there. We have a megawatt burner outside. If needed, we can adjust the temperature. Can we use hormones? A megawatt burner, gas-powered, and yet I can lift 1,600 tons of onions. Since we are the northernmost ones dealing with onions, we have drying in the field. Usually, we have to deal with rain, slush, and mud. We have wet onions. You drive out the containers using Dutch technology. And practically within a week, I raised the temperature to 30 with hot air, hot soup air. We dry them. Well, you can't do it too abruptly here either, as the skin might crack. Therefore, as soon as the onions start rustling, we slightly increase the temperature, gradually raising it to 30. After they rustle completely, we check the neck. And in the end, I keep it for about another week, raising it to 35 plus. I specifically roast all these fungal issues. These ones here, we specifically roast them so our onions can be stored almost indefinitely. If they are still in good condition, there are no problems at all. And in any case, they are golden. Yes, well, in any case, they look good. And of course, our cost price is higher than that of southern onions. So it's not hard to compete, but our onions store better. With this kind of drying, I think we then move on to the preparation hall. A break, so silence. The line was set up for us by AgroTrade. It's a sculls line, which includes a tipper, then there are brushes or no brushes. Since we mainly deal with seeds, we repair the brushes. We include preliminary inspection, calibration, storage hoppers. The buffer zone is an intermediate tipper. If needed, we are already ready, sorted, or some product goes again. Inspection and packaging. Dispenser and packaging. Here we had 2,000 tons of potatoes. We have already sold everything here. And now we will use this area for finished products in big bags. Our seed shipments will start literally from next week. About 300, 400 tons per week. We are quietly starting to prepare.
Excellent.
The seeds are maybe waiting for their owners, right?
I don't envy some video that I already made or last year.
Something. In those of yours there, I have a Telegram zap.
And here I am. Contact. Just in contact. I just ask you in contact there. Where exactly? Just a specific potato tour across Russia. Just that video. And my main task is to do it, firstly, telling my own story, even if I'm not meeting with a celestial being, just with normal guys like you, who started there with those who were engaged for 10 days. Last year we visited Andrey Voronkov, as you can see. He says there, you see, he just told the situation in some year, in 1994 and 1996. They brought people to the field. They figured it out, like some went to the forest for berries, others to the village for a bottle of vodka, and I was told to harvest potatoes. I didn't know what to do. So the ladies took charge and we bought a harvesting combine there. But Grimovsky drank, and when he started working this somewhere, the poppy, the best sound I've heard in my life, that is. But he also started small up to 7, and his sense of respect for himself and his work, yes. And maybe through this, maybe there, Nikita, yes, he sees, let's see. Your story of other people, he has respect for his work. And maybe the 3rd or 4th generation will want to work like you. Yes, it's hard, but it's
interesting. It's interesting. It's life. It's the meaning of life. It's our lifestyle in general. Peasantry.